thank you for joining Christina and I for Fishing Central America. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about fishing in Central America. Just kind of give you guys a little bit of tips, use some of our experience from fishing down there, pass along some tips, what to bring, what not to bring, kind of what to expect. I think a lot of people have some preconceived notions when they go fishing in somewhere like Central or Costa Rica or Panama, and hopefully we'll all learn something tonight. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A tab at the top of the screen. Please feel free to click it and ask a question. We'll try to answer them as we can as we move throughout. If we don't get to it, we'll answer it at the end. And also at the end, we're going to do a drawing for a giveaway for a Navionics hat and a Night Eyes headlamp, which is currently sitting on her front seat.
Yes.
So first of all, just a little bit real quick about us. I'm Mike Readling. I'm a Navionics marine specialist. That just means I travel around and talk to a lot of people a lot of times. When it comes to Central America, I've fished in Panama, both in the canal and out in the Pacific, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Guatemala. So I haven't covered all the countries, but I've done a fair amount of fishing down there on both sides of both coasts. Christina, besides being a tournament kayak angler and guide, and who's fished in Costa Rica and Panama, I'm going to call it Canada all night.
Canada. I've never been to Canada. But thanks for asking.
She actually hosts guide trips out of Los Buzos, Panama in the summer, right?
Yeah, we do trips through like June, July, August, like August, September, and then December.
So if you're looking for a Panamanian wahoo out of a kayak, this is the way to go right here.
Yes. And I've done the canal thing and the Pacific thing too, actually. Now that you had mentioned that, I have fished in the canal.
Well, and this is just a quick, I put some X's on the places that I know the two of us have fished. Most of the places we fished, I'm sure that's not all of them. And you said you fished the canal where you peacock bass fishing?
Yep. Yeah. For those big, really big ones.
Yeah, we caught about 100 of them.
Yeah,
they're like that big each.
Yeah.
And I got out of a kayak and almost stepped on a caiman, which was the thrill of the day. It was like hiding down in the mud, and as I got out, it took off. So I missed being eaten by a caiman by about 6 inches.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then the tankers were about as close as this window to us when we were kayaking through the canal.
That's the coolest part, is like seeing the tanks. Just all the cruise ships and boats and everything like going through like right behind you.
Yeah, definitely is.
Makes you realize how tiny you are at the
So why do we like fishing down in Central America? Because of gigantic cubera snappers, big groupers, big tunas, and that's one of the small tunas. Again, these are pictures that I took from a website of the lodge that I stayed at down there. But this is exactly the kind of trips that I've had fishing out of Panama. Lots of snapper, lots of tuna, and of course marlin all over the place. Like everybody says, it's true. Christina's doing a little Facebook Live while we're talking.
Yeah,
here.
I figured I would include everyone. We're doing a Fishing Central America webinar currently. Thank you for joining.
And then, of course, the rooster fish, which is why everybody in the world wants to go down to Central America to fish. I know it was the main fish I wanted to catch when I went down there. That was my goal. It looks like it was one of your goals.
Yes. The rooster fish, I think, is, I don't know, I grew up wanting to catch one, and it wasn't just about catching one though. I wanted to do it on top water, like around the rocks. Like I had a very specific dream in mind, and I didn't actually get to do that my first trip to Costa Rica. I didn't catch one, and everyone's like, "Oh, you'll catch millions of rooster fish! Like they're all over the place." Okay, well, my first trip to Panama, I didn't catch one. My first trip to Costa Rica, I didn't catch one, and then I was like, my third trip, all I could think of was I was obviously meant to catch this fish in the kayak. And my very first one was in the kayak. So I was pretty that. And I did work really hard for it too.
They are easily some of the hardest fighting fish I know I've ever caught. They're a member of the jack family, and they fight harder than even the jack crevalles that we catch out here off the beach in Stewart and Jensen Beach. So definitely worth the trip to go down there just to look for a rooster fish, if nothing else. A lot of people, when I got back or when I've been talking to people, they've asked, what can we expect when we get there? And the first thing I can tell you, and Christina can attest to this, is the airports are nowhere near anywhere you're going to fish. Everywhere you land, there's going to be a drive, and the drive usually entails some kind of dirt road that winds around the side of a mountain, or sometimes not even a dirt road if you're in parts of Costa Rica. And the best thing you could do is find a driver. I know going from Panama to the canal, or from the capital, Panama City, to the canal wasn't that bad, but going through the rest of Panama was just exactly like this dirt road shows. You're going through a lot of places in Panama. Actually, have police stops you have to go through, show them your ID in order to get through. So this is kind of what to expect. You're not looking at 4-lane paved highways with medians.
Yeah.
Is this about what you've seen? That's
a very wide road, actually, compared to what I've seen. I mean, I'm usually like falling off a cliff, and there's people driving like maniacs, and the road's like maybe big enough for one vehicle, let alone two. But yeah, I think that's good advice. You had mentioned like one of the best things you can do is have a driver. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like when I book these trips to Panama and I try to get everyone to come out, I'm like, we have like 2 guys that we work with. So when I land, I have 2 people who I can trust and who you can trust, pick you up at the airport, take you to the hotel, and then the next day we have a driver who takes us out to the lodge. But it's like a 6-hour drive between stopping for fuel, lunch, going to the bathroom, and just those winding roads through the rainforest. It's quite the experience. I think it's one of my most favorite parts about it. Like those last 2 hours of the trip are all just dirt roads in the middle of nowhere.
It does seem like everything is 6 hours from the next place you want to be.
Yeah.
Every time, regardless of where you're at. The other thing is what you can expect is beautiful views, amazing sunsets, awesome rainforests, and that's just I think this is Los Buzos, I believe. I think it is. I stole it from their website.
Did you? Okay. It looks like the bay. Los Buzos is in actually it is. I can see, so right here you can see like we kind of fished this a little, but for the most part, it's in a bay there. So it's pretty cool.
But this is a pretty typical Costa Rica or Central American coastline. It's got a lot of the trees, a little tiny strip of beach in a lot of places, and it drops off pretty quick, and I can show you that in a couple minutes. The other thing that you can look for, and this is what we always look for when I've been going with people, is the crazy wildlife. The capybaras, when I was in Panama, there were capybara signs all over the place. They would come out in the mornings and eat outside the hotel room. Sloths, we saw a couple sloths walking on the trails, and of course the iguanas that are on the beach. Not that that's that rare anymore. I was down in Miami on Friday, and there's iguanas on the side of every canal down there.
Oh my gosh, you just have to go to Palm Beach.
Yeah, they're moving more and more north.
Yeah.
But I know wildlife is, besides if you're not fishing, you're going to want to see stuff, and you can see some crazy things that you don't always see here in Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, of course, there's the fish. And
I hate the houndfish, gosh, or whatever they are. I don't even like them.
So Christina and I had this talk about this before. Not these things. We targeted these for about 2 hours in Panama, trying to catch them because they jump like tarpon and they run around like crazy and they zip your line across the water. And they're basically houndfish, like you said, needlefish down here.
Yeah.
That grow to be about 4 feet long. I love them.
They're terrible. Terrible.
Kayak anglers don't like them because they have teeth and they might hurt them.
I do. I'm not a conservationist when it comes to these fish.
So.
Sorry, guys.
So besides these crazy, they call them aguas down there, though.
Oh, they
yeah, they do. Agua. And they'll yell agua as soon as you get one on. So there's all kinds of crazy different species of fish that you can catch down that way that you don't necessarily see up here. So it's just a chance to see a bunch of different species of fish and catch something different. Now, as far as what not to expect, electricity, That seems to be a rarity in a lot of places. I know, and I can speak for myself, having stayed at one of the places we stayed in Panama. We were there for 4 days, and the electric was out for about 2 days total, usually during the day when we were fishing, but a lot of times when we got back, just in time for there to be cold water in the showers. So, and then you're not going to get gigantic Olympic-sized clear glass bottom pools next to you. Are going to get a pool that is enough to dip off in, and probably have a swim up bar in it if you're at the right spot.
We don't have a pool at Los Buzos, but you're fishing the whole time. This is a fishing trip. Like, that's what I tell people. Like, this is for fishermen. This isn't this just is a fishing trip.
And that's kind of the point of this slide is, you know, you're going down there. You're not going down there to relax and do spa massages and all that stuff. You're there to fish. These are fishing lodges. The one I went to in Guatemala, I took my wife. And while I went fishing for 8 or 9, 10 hours a day, she laid by the pool because that's all there was to do. There was literally, you drove into the compound of the resort, they closed the gates behind you, and there was a pool and a bar. Other than that, that was it. You were there to fish. So what we're trying to tell you politely is don't go down there and expect to be pampered and everything else. You're going to get up at 6 in the morning, have some eggs, and go out on the boat fishing for 8, 9, 10 hours.
Which is wonderful. Like, that's what we're there to do. We're there to go fishing. And we do have, at Los Buzos, we do have electricity, but as you said, you lose it. You have it, and then, of course, like, there'll be these days where, like, you'll lose it. We've lost it only one time in the 3 trips I've made there. And I think I've had a bunch of friends who've been there more than that and only lost it maybe once also. And it's only been for like a few hours, and luckily, like, we're on the water, so usually they lose it when we're out fishing and they get it back just as we're coming in or just after we've made it in. So I get it. Like, we don't need it, but it is nice to have.
And to be honest, it's part of the experience.
It is part of the experience.
You're in a third world country.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a little taste of what that means.
We're outside the whole time. We're fishing the whole time. And then when we get back, we're all hanging out outside, having beers, eating chips and dip. And you go in, you take your shower, and you're back outside again. So even if we do lose it, it's you know, you're really not in it. It's
and
not
a lot
like
of
you're
times
hanging out.
you're eating the fish that was caught that day.
Yep.
I know Paradise Fishing Lodge in Panama, he had to run down every morning to catch the vegetable truck and the chicken truck before it went by.
Yes.
It wasn't coming back.
We do the same thing.
If he didn't get his chicken and his vegetables at like 6 in the morning, they didn't have vegetables that day. So that's kind of the areas that we're talking about, and they're the best areas to fish for a reason. It's because not a lot of people get to go there.
It's quite the experience, and that's what I like about it, is that it's just different. It's not like, I don't know, it's not like going to this lavish place. You know, I don't know. It's lavish to me, and it's very I don't know, glamorous in a sense, because it's what I like to do.
Exactly.
It's not what everyone thinks it is, maybe.
So when you're going down to, and I'm gonna say Costa Rica just so I say it over and over again. Canada. If you're going to Canada. So you're gonna want to bring you're gonna want to bring a lot of things, but you're gonna want to bring certain things that are almost essential. In the middle of the screen is a Yozuri sashimi popper. Sashimi. By far the most fun, most effective, and best bait that I used when I was fishing both Costa Rica and Panama, and Guatemala for that matter. The rooster fish that I caught was, I think, like 35, 40 pounds. Caught it on a popper. We caught Cabera snapper on popper. We caught catching yellowtails on poppers. But we always brought our own lures because we were never sure exactly how equipped the guys we were going out with were. So my last trip to Panama, I actually had an extra suitcase with lures in it. Thank you, Yozuri. That we took down, used what we used, and then just left them with the guides to use for their next few trips. You know, we wanted to make sure that we were covered, but it was kind of an extra tip for the guys that took their time to take us out and show us some great fishing. Here's some lures to leave after we left. So, you know, I'm not telling you to bring a wheelbarrow full of fishing lures to leave behind you, but definitely if you have some favorites, definitely topwaters, bring them with you because it's worth it. I always brought my own leader. You ever bring your own leader?
I bring my own everything. But I actually bring a larger suitcase full of tackle than I do clothes. I bring like a carry-on full of clothes, and then I bring a check bag, like a bigger bag,
like bikinis and t-shirts.
Full of tackle, full of top waters, all sorts of different plugs, leader, pliers. I thought there was like a turkey walking by there. It's like a peacock. A ton of stuff. I just bring everything because we're kayak fishing, so I don't have everything on the kayak there. I have like main things that I really like to use, like tackle webs. I bring my tackle webs to attach to the back of the seat in the kayak, so I can make myself feel at home. I'm fishing for 5 days all day. I like to bring everything that makes me more productive and more successful.
And I'm not saying that every guide down there is totally unprepared or ill-equipped to handle. I'm just saying, if you have something that you want to fish for sure, bring it with you. They're certainly not going to argue with you bringing on a little extra tackle if it's something that you want to use. And it doesn't hurt to be backed up. As far as the Pelican case, you're going to want to take pictures. We know that for sure. You're going to have your camera on board. And I know that I had a Pelican case when I was in the Bahamas, and it saved my tush. I'd just taken a bunch of pictures of a guy bone fishing, and I put the camera back in because we were making a run to another spot. I latched the case, I put it down, and about 4 minutes later, he hit a sandbar at full speed, and that case went
holy moly,
flying across the top of the boat. It skipped and scattered and hit the gunnel and came back towards me. But yeah, saved my butt. I've never not taken a Pelican case on board with me when we're anywhere down there, just because I want to make sure I get good pictures, but I also want to make sure I can bring them home with me. I know you have a Pelican case, right?
Oh, I have everything in a Pelican case. I fly with all my reels in a Pelican case. I fly with all my clothes in a Pelican case. I only travel in Pelican case land.
So again, it's just something you're going to want to. Again, you're in a third world country. There's no fish the first day saying, "Oh crap, I need a Pelican case," and running out to Walmart because there's no Walmart.
There really is nothing like food. You can go to the store and get food.
And there's
You're
bars.
not going to starve to death, and you're going to be able to have anything you want to drink. But other than that, as far as tackle goes, I'm the same way. Every time I go down to Los Buzos or to Panama, or anywhere in Panama, I guess, or anywhere I travel outside the country to fish, I end up always leaving something with a guide or something with a local, or they just can't get a hold of silly things just like a rigging needle or a leader or whatever, They can order it all, but it takes time to get it, and it's nice just to be able to have it.
Definitely. I know a lot of fly fishers obviously take their own gear with them everywhere they go, even if they're just driving down the street. I'm not telling you to be a fly fisherman by any stretch of the imagination. But again, you just want to be prepared and make sure you've got yourself covered. This is Christina's big slide coming up here.
My big slide? I have a slide?
Tips from a guide.
Aww.
So we're lucky in that we get the perspective of a fishing guide who actually fishes and guides down in Panama. And, when you have a group of people coming in from New Jersey.
Oopsies, I'm sorry. Did I do that last time too?
Yes, I don't know. So when you have a group of people coming in from New Jersey and they're coming to fish in Los Buzos for a week, what do you tell them to bring with them? What do you make sure they know?
Well, you're supposed to bring everything you want, from rods, reels, any tackle. I try to give everybody a list of things, like this is what I like to use, this is what we're going to use the most of, this is how we're going to do it. So when you contact me, I will give you that information. Whether or not you buy it all, you can actually rent everything at Los Buzos. So if you don't want to travel with the extra baggage, you don't have to. You can get whatever you want out there. But I like the experience of traveling with all my gear and having the things that I like to use, because every fisherman is different, and sometimes I don't know. You're going all the way out there, and I think that you should always bring things that you like, whether it's just a tackle box full. At this point, I travel pretty light. I know what I like to use, I know what I need to use, and I know what is going to get the job done. the first few times I obviously brought like a ton of stuff, but I mean, you have your basic essential top waters. I throw all Yozuri plugs for the most part, and you know, your leaders, and I bring things, you know, I pre-make all my rigs for live bait prior to going. So I have like a sleeve full of all my rigs made. I bring some extra things, extra hooks, extra wire, but nothing crazy.
So
pretty simple.
How many kayaks do you have out at one?
There's Los Buzos can cater to 12 people. We have 12. I think we have 12 boats, 12 kayaks. So we can have like 10 to 12 people on the water at once. But they also have pangas. So you can fish from a panga if you don't want to fish from a kayak. We can have a lot of people on the water. A lot of people.
So in here, we'll switch over to Navionics real quick.
Aww.
Hang on. I know what I'm doing, I promise.
I'm reading comments.
Oh, yeah? People love you?
Yeah, I love that. We're doing a Central American webinar, fishing webinar. Currently. Hi, Erica.
So this is Navionics.com. It doesn't want to work right now because we were going to go and play with the chart viewer. I was going to show you some of the reasons that we like fishing in Central America so much.
So some of the reasons we like fishing in Central America and some pros for kayaking is that everything is very close. So when we launch from the beach, and you can fish very close to shore. There's like, it's such a cool place. There's all these rocks, and it's like this valley of, like, I don't know, there's more mountains underwater than there are above water, it seems like. So it's really cool. You have a lot of different options depending on the tide and time of the year and all sorts of things. We are trying to get
I was trying to get to the
Navionics.
chart viewer, but the website does not want to load on my computer for now for some reason. Which is fine. So like she was saying, all right.
Thanks, Field. You brought your kneecaps. Everyone hashtag kneecaps with Robert Field. Robert Field here.
All right. So I was going to try to show you on Navionics, on the chart viewer on Navionics.com. I was going to show you how it dropped off, like she said, very quickly from shore. And that happens throughout Central America. It's basically like swimming off the side of a mountain. It just drops straight down pretty quickly everywhere you go. I've seen sailfish within casting distance of the beach because the water is that shallow.
Like Florida, I feel like. We can catch so many different species like right off the beach.
It is. And different species down there too. This is really annoying.
If anyone wants to talk to anybody about changing snook regulations, it's this guy right here. Save the snook.
I know nothing about snook.
Or kill the snook. We don't really know. Well,
you've got one more day. You've got 5 hours, 35 minutes to eat a snook or catch a snook to eat.
That's what he thinks.
Anyway, and speaking of snook, there's a ton of different kinds of snook in Costa Rica and Panama, right at the mouths of the river, which we didn't really talk about. But they, as the water's flowing out, the snook hang around the mouths of those rivers, and they're gigantic, and they're fun to catch, and they're beautiful. What else you want to talk about?
It's a great fishery. You should all book trips to Panama.
I think so. Now's a good time to ask any questions. If anybody has any questions, either on the webinar or on Instagram.
Yeah.
While we have you here, we may as well take questions from anybody. Did kind of run through some things real quick. And we're going to, for the people on the webinar, we're going to do a drawing in a minute. Sorry, Instagram. We still love you, though.
We don't love you. No, I'm just kidding. We love everyone. World peace.
World peace. So here's what we're doing a drawing for our webinar people. A Night Eyes headlamp.
Woo, Night Eyes.
And a Navionics hat. And here's what we're drawing out of the Navionics hat. And we're going to let Christina pick a number, or pick a name, I'm sorry. Four.
It's a party, guys. It's a party.
This is for the Night Eyes headlamp.
All right. Mark Burton.
Mark Burton, congratulations, you're the winner of a Night Eyes headlamp.
Yay!
And for our Navionics hat, the winner is Mario De Piero. Everybody stand up and clap. All right, so I will mail those out. I'm not going to say tomorrow because I'm terrible at mailing things out, but I will mail those out in the next couple days. Oh, look, we have a question on webinar. Go us, hopefully.
Oh, yay!
What is the most bang for your buck, Panama or Costa Rica?
Panama.
Far Panama.
Yes. Panama is so much cooler, I think, than Costa Rica. And I feel like that sounds really silly, but I love Panama.
I grew up wanting to fish Costa Rica forever and ever. I dreamed of going there. I finally went there in like 2003, and it was pretty good. We had a good time. And then I went to Panama in 2008, and Panama is by far
so much cooler.
So much better than Costa Rica.
I don't know why. Like, I did the same thing. I grew up the same way, and I was like, I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm going to go rooster fishing. I'm going to do all these things. I went there, and I was kind of like, this place is cool. But Panama is so much better.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. Costa Rica's cooler because it's got the colones. So you kind of have to figure out how much a Coke costs. 1,200 colones is like 75 cents or something. But Panama, the places that we stayed compared to Costa Rica were better. The fishing was better. It seemed like it was less expensive. It's
definitely less. I feel like they're very similar, but it's definitely less expensive. And I still feel like it's very third world. It still is.
I mean, you fly into Panama City, it's like flying into New York City. There's gigantic skyscrapers, but as soon as you get out of the city, you're in the
But it's beautiful. It's such a cool country. I absolutely love it.
And the people
are wonderful. Everything is wonderful. I've never had a bad experience. Like, I travel by myself there. I don't necessarily go with, I meet up with people, but I feel more, I don't know, I just feel comfortable there. I feel safer there than I do in Miami, that's for sure.
Yeah, I hung out in Panama or in David until like 4 o'clock in the morning playing pool with a bunch of people I'd never met and only spoke half their language, and it was awesome. So definitely Panama. And as far as what you're looking for flight-wise, you could probably get round trip down there for what, $350 to $400? You'd know better than I would.
Down to flights down to Panama. I just looked today actually for July, and you can get flights for the next trip that I will be at, which is going to be July 15th through the 22nd. You can get flights for around $600 right now. So, which I think is pretty decent round trip.
I was saying $350 because I don't want to come back.
But I was going to say that's your one way. Yeah. It's not a bad flight. From Florida, it's like a 3-hour and few minute flight. It's not bad.
No, which is one of the best parts about going down there is it's close and easy to get to. And there's volcanoes, which we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions? If you don't have questions.
CJ, I don't know do you know when the snook spawn in Panama?
I do not know when the snook spawn in Panama.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I would imagine the spring, probably the same time as us. The climate's about the same, but I don't know that for sure. Maybe a little bit earlier, March, April instead of June, July, perhaps.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do we have another question?
Oh, yeah.
Best destination for big snapper and roosters.
Los Buzos, Panama, with yours truly. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, no.
There's only a handful of places you can even go.
Right around the corner from Los Buzos is a place called Caribe Island, a little bit northwest of where she fishes out of. Great rooster fish, great snapper, very close to shore. Again, you're not traveling 5 hours outside to go fishing. It was right around Coiba that we caught a 50-pound cubera, and the rooster that I caught, we caught him off the same kind of reef or rock, I guess. So if I'm sending somebody looking for snapper and roosters, I'm sending them to Panama for sure. Los Buzos is never a bad choice.
Never a bad choice. Los Buzos is really cool.
And as we learned today, you don't have to fish out of a kayak.
Don't have to fish from a kayak. Yeah. But it's so cool. I don't know why you'd want it. You could at least give it one try for one day, but there's plenty of options. There's horseback riding, and there's like tubing. You can fish from the beach. There's stand-up paddle boards. There's a lot of different options, a lot of different amenities to keep you busy if you want to break from fishing one day, or you bring like a significant other and they don't necessarily want to be out all day long, or whatever the case might be. But we're very flexible. We'll cater to a lot of different things. So if you have any questions or suggestions on something that maybe we're lacking or we should do or whatever, we're open.
Any other questions real quick?
I think I might have a lot of stuff on here I've kind of been missing. You need a passport to go to Panama. Yes. Definitely have to have a passport. Let's see. Yes, you should definitely look into going to Panama. If you have questions, just feel free to message me or email me or whatever works best for you. And I can answer all those for you. Robert, thank you for answering everyone's questions, because it's been tough, obviously. Multitasking. Let's see. I don't know what other. I think that's really it for the most part.
And Mario, I'll contact you later for your mailing address. Thank you.
It's LOS. Thank you, Robert.
Buzos. Boozers at Buzos.
Buzos. Or my grandma cannot pronounce that name for the life of me, and it drives me nuts. Sorry, Grammy, if you're listening.
All right, if you guys have any other questions or want to ask us about anything Central America, Florida, we can make stuff up about Canada if you want.
I don't know jack about Canada.
Feel free to email either myself or Christina. We're both pretty easy to get hold of. We answer back whenever we get the chance. So thank you very much. We appreciate you showing up for our Central America fishing webinar. We will talk to you later. Bye.